as I was saying earlier, in this book, Liam meets in the prison. He meets a woman named Zoe, and starts up kind of a friendship with her. She seems trustworthy to him, but she says, if you want to make extra money to help your dog, we can, you can start running stuff into the prison. So at first, he starts small, but then like throughout the book, they're bringing in bigger and bigger different types of drugs and different paraphernalia that pose more of a risk for them. But in order to get that stuff, Zoe sets Liam up with her cousin Dennis, and who is on the outside. And by meeting with Dennis, he gets the product that he can bring into the prison, that he can sneak in. So in this scene, he first meets Dennis, and they are talking about what they're going to do. And I'm reading this scene because it gives a little glimpse of what happens throughout the story. It's kind of a lead in to what is coming up.
Perfect.
So here we go. It started with simple stuff: cigarettes, tattoo ink, those airplane bottles of alcohol, better snacks and makeup than what the commissary offered. These things were contraband I could be disciplined for. Fired for, but nothing that could lead to a hard arrest. It was also easy to carry these items into the prison because Norrington's security checks were relatively relaxed for COs, particularly once they established themselves. I still had to go through the guard post when I drove in, but going through the interior check line was a cakewalk for a variety of reasons. For one thing, the metal detector was old and faulty. It only worked when it wanted to and had falsely gone off several times, leading to the unnecessary searches of guards and civilians. So the metal detector became a boy who cried wolf. And like most of the other damaged equipment in Norrington, ACI didn't want to dip into the budget to make repairs. I'd even heard from some of the veteran COs that whatever was left in the budget at the end of each fiscal quarter determined what size bonuses the captain, warden, and assistant warden received in their paychecks, but that may have just been office rumors. Another reason the walk-through security check was easy was because we employees were always understaffed and hurrying to get to our units. Plus, rookie COs were placed at the metal detector with little idea how to even use the equipment. Some were just out of high school and had the attention span of a gnat. Establish a rapport with them, and you could bullshit while going through the routine, distracting them. Accepting purchase orders from her fellow inmates, Zoe got them or their loved ones to put money on her green dot card, which any large purchases being paid to an account her cousin handled for her. I didn't know all of the details, but my service fee ranged depending on the item and quantity requested. Tobacco and alcohol were in the highest demand, and I could easily sneak the packs in tiny bottles under my clothing. Zoe and I kept coded logs and compared them regularly to make sure they matched, and I built up a collective total to be paid out to me each week. Inmates weren't allowed to have cash, but Zoe had another way to give me my share. My cousin Dennis, she explained on one of our slow walks to the workshop. She gave me his phone number. He'll tell you where to meet so he can square up with you. The thought of exchanging money under a bridge somewhere added another element of danger to what we were doing, but I couldn't think of any other way to go about the transaction. When I called the number, a fluttering voice gave me the name of a bar, and after my shift, I changed into a t-shirt and jeans and headed to Goldie's. It was just past 11 p.m. on a weeknight, and the small bar was packed with men. Only men. At a high table near the windows, a skinny guy in a white jacket waved me over. He had hair like Pee Wee Herman and wore a touch of pink lipstick. His fingernails glossed. "You Dennis?" I asked, making sure I wasn't just being hit on by a stranger. The man nodded and gestured to the high-backed chair across from him. The music was loud, so we had to lean in to hear one another. The whole situation was nothing like I had imagined. I'd pictured Dennis as some hard criminal with biker tattoos and face scars. I thought we'd meet at some quiet, dilapidated location, not a popular gay bar. Dennis extended his hand. We shook, his bony grip harder than I had expected. "Beer?" he asked. Sure. Good, because that's what I ordered you. I hadn't planned on staying, but wanted our business relationship to be a good one. Dennis drew a small envelope from his jacket and slid it across to me, making no effort to conceal the transaction from the other patrons. It didn't matter. No one was looking at us. I opened the envelope and thumbed the bills. "Never count your money at the table," Dennis said with a smirk. "Don't you know the song?" I slid the cash into my pocket. Looked like more than I'm owed. Consider it an advance. A waiter appeared through the crowd and dropped off our beers. Dennis had ordered something fancy, a local brew or seasonal ale. Nerves had robbed my mouth of moisture, so I drank greedily. An advance, huh? I asked. Elbows on the table, Dennis made a temple with his fingers like a cartoon villain. We have big plans for you. He said it with an air of positivity, but I couldn't help but sense an aura of danger surrounding the man. The one thing that reassured me was my relationship with Zoe. We had a rapport unlike anything I had with the other inmates, and I was confident she wouldn't get me involved with anything too risky. Still, Dennis spooked me. He made sudden, twitchy movements as if he were on drugs or trying to kick them. With his feet on the rung of the seat, his legs bounced like he was playing the drums. Zoe tells me you need quick cash, Dennis said. Says you're in a bind. Something about cancer? That's right. I hoped she hadn't told him more than that. I wasn't pleased that this man knew anything remotely personal about me. Yeah, well, fuck cancer, Dennis said. That shit's in all of us, did you know that? We've all got it. Our bodies fight it off constantly until one day the cancer just gets too strong and then BAM! He smacked the table. Suddenly you're on fucking chemo, puking your tits off and going bald. The cure's worse than the disease, right? It's a shit hand God lays down. More like a backhand if you ask me. His rapid-fire speech caused me to lean back in discomfort, but Dennis didn't pick up on these social clues. Then, he said, to make matters worse, we've got the American healthcare system. What a joke, right? Maybe you won't die, but you'll wish you did when you get the bill. And it's all designed to rape you of as much money as they can. Doctors get rich keeping you sick, so why would they want to make you better all lickety-split, right? I'm telling you, I know all about it. I drank my beer. The sooner I finished it, the sooner I could excuse myself and go home to rest up for tomorrow's double shift. You're smart hooking up with Zoe, Dennis told me. She knows what she's doing. Really plays the game right. She's told me a lot about you, Liam. That the man knew my name made me cringe. Like what? I asked. She says you aren't afraid to take chances. I respect that, big time. A man's got to have balls if he's going to make it in this world. Even women need balls these days. He snorted a laugh and downed the rest of his beer. I finished mine too and was relieved when Dennis stood, thinking our meeting was adjourned. Walk me to my car, he said. I didn't ask questions even though I knew I should. We stepped out into the desert's cool night air, the sounds of the street seeming ambient after the pounding music of the bar. Dennis walked with the swaying hips of a woman, but this air of femininity did nothing to detract from his intimidating nature. Though short and lightweight, there was an unstable intensity to him that kept me anxious as we went deeper into the parking lot shadows. I flinched when two men stepped out of a parked car, but they passed by us and headed right into Goldie's. I was alone with Dennis. I want to show you something, he said. Reaching his sports car, Dennis opened the door and pulled a cardboard box into the light of a street lamp, then tilted it toward me and opened the flaps. Cellular phones were stacked in the box like little black bricks. You know how much one of these goes for in the joint? He asked. I bit my lip. Cell phones were high on the list of unacceptable prison contraband. Obviously, they would be pricey, and with good reason. Tens of thousands of calls went through American prisons every day, and all of them were regulated and monitored. They were also grossly expensive, costing over $5 for a 10-minute call. No small amount of money for inmates making pennies an hour. An inmate with a private phone could speak openly with folks on the outside. To convicts, this little device all free people carried in their pockets was like a genie's lamp. These are burners, Dennis told me. Disposable phones. When I buy them in bulk, they're $8 a piece. We could charge about 70 times that for one snuck into the joint. Phones all over the prison? Come on. That's asking to be caught. I'm not talking about giving one to every con. All you do is sneak in a couple to Zoe. One or two just for her special highest paying customers and another for Zoe to keep. She can charge others to use them now and then. Simple, right? Looking at the plentiful box load, I shook my head. I don't know. This isn't like sneaking in Marlboros or candy bars. Inmates can use phones to commit crimes from the inside. They can talk to their gang members or bosses, orchestrate all kinds of things. Shit, Dennis said through a smile. This isn't a men's prison we're talking about, buddy. These ladies don't want a phone so they can order a hit on somebody. These are mommies we're talking about, right? With a phone, they can talk to their children whenever they want. They can send their boyfriends pictures of their pussies. That's all it would be. It's still a major risk. That's why you'll be handsomely compensated. Take in 3 phones and I'll give you $1,000. I blinked. $1,000? All I'd trafficked up until this point now seemed like nickel and diming. You're taking the risk, right? Dennis said. You keep the $1,000 and I'll take the leftover 600 and change. The enormity of it began to sink in. I ran my hand through my hair, eyes not leaving the box. They were just small flip phones, easy to conceal. I'd learned from doing shakedowns just how inventive inmates were when it came to hide and seek. Zoe was clever. She could handle the challenges of stashing an illegal phone in Norrington. But the other prisoners, whoever they were, was another issue. They might get sloppy, and if they were caught with a phone, they might snitch. They wouldn't know I was the one to have brought the phones in, but they could rat out Zoe. I was confident she wouldn't squeal on me, though. I was her supplier and friend. Every day we were growing closer and fonder of one another. It was even more reason I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. Sometimes I even fantasized about her getting an early release. I would give positive reports about her that would go all the way up to Warden Nowak, gaining her good time and helping her make parole. Then I could take her on a proper date. We would have all the time we wanted to talk instead of those 2 brief intervals in that one private hall. I imagined us having nice meals, going to the movies, and taking long walks with Charlie. Maybe we'd become an item. Maybe I'd remarry. Of course, I'd not confessed any of these daydreams to Zoe. There'd been no amorous exchanges between us. The only hints of romance gurgled beneath the surface of whatever we had become. I saw it in a gleam of her eye or a wetting of her lips, brief flashes of tenderness expressed without the benefit of physical touch. Zoe wasn't like that sex pot Lily Gutierrez. Zoe was girlfriend material, but unfortunately, she was incarcerated. I'd have to be patient. I'd have to wait for her, like someone whose spouse has gone off to war. What about Zoe's cut? I asked Dennis about the phone deal. She gets a piece of this too. Dennis grinned like a jester. Such a gentleman. You don't happen to have a gay brother, do you? He chortled. Hey, Zoe gets the phone. That's all she wants out of this. Besides, anything that benefits you and me benefits her too. I mean, we're a team, right? And that's the end of that chapter.
Wow, thank you so much for reading that. That was great. I'm in. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Chris. Really appreciate this, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah. Enjoy, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into the show.